things off, just doing a quick video on how to read the backlist information from the Tibia client. It's not going to be a tutorial on how to read it, but how to find it in the first place, and it will go through roughly how people went about finding it in the first ever instance of it existing. So I'll crack open a Tibia client and an instance of cheat engine. As you can see, they're already sized for this. I've tried this video a couple of times, but I kept making mistakes. So the first thing to do, you should have a screen that looks like this. I have two monitors. I normally have Tibia over here on this monitor, and I have Cheat Engine on one monitor and Ollie Debugger behind Cheat Engine, and Visual Studio is normally behind Tibia. Makes it quite easy to work between the different screens. But obviously this video has to fit on YouTube, so I'm going to do it over one monitor. So basically the first step is to click on this button here, which looks like a computer, or click File, and there should be an attach button. There isn't an attach button, I guess. Click on this button here, which selects the process to open. Double click on the Tibia client, log in, and try to log into a character that's going to be quite isolated from NPCs and whatnot. That was a bad choice of character because there's an NPC on my screen. Let's try this one. There we go. Should be no creatures or NPCs nearby. It's not impossible, but it makes it easier this way. So now we're logged in. If we change the value that we're searching for, the value type, to a string, search for the character name that you're logged into, do a first scan, you'll get a list of addresses come up. In this instance only 4, which is quite convenient because there are, it just makes it easier to have less addresses. You'll notice that the top 2 are green and the bottom 2 are black. The green ones are the ones that we're interested in. I don't know why some are black and some are green, but gives you a sort of, it's easier to work knowing that the green ones are the ones that we're looking for. So now that we have that, if we log into a different character, these values should change. And as you can see, Marshall is the start of a character's name on my screen. Oops. Now you'll see that Marshall is only it's cutting off his name. His name is actually Marshall Davenport. So if we change the string, if we double click on here, we can change the length of the string. Change it to 32, that's the longest possible character name in Tibia. And there you have his full name. So there's one entry in the battle list. Now if I search for my new character name that I've relogged, once again add the 2 green values. Now this came up with something at the end of it, so I know this isn't the value, so I'm only going to add this one. If I delete this one because I added it earlier and it's now useless, I'm going to add this one anyway just for the sake of it, but I highly suspect this one's wrong. If I now log into a different character, a third one if you like, you can see that I now have 3 characters in my battle list. This one it's a character that I was logged into previously, but it's no longer on my screen, therefore it's no longer in my battle list. Therefore it plays sort of no relevance in the fact that the reason that we're still seeing it is because it's stored in the memory, and the memory doesn't get cleaned when a creature disappears from the battle list. It just gets overwritten when a creature replaces it. Now if you have say 5 characters in your battle list and you log into a character that has only the first 3 of your 5 will be overwritten. So this is definitely an address in the battle list, as are these 2. Now there is an easy way now to find out which one of these addresses is the start of the battle list, if any, and that way is to look at the 2 addresses which we know to be 2 characters that are definitely on our screen. And if I take this address into a calculator window, which I've got set to hexadecimal under the programmer view, if I take that and then take the other address, which is the lower in this instance, and subtract the lower address from the higher address, we know that the offset, the difference between the 2 addresses, is C0. That's 192 for those of you that use different languages that accept integral memory addresses. So we know that the step between each battle list entry is that. So if I now take this address and take C0 from that address, I get another address which should be the entry before Quentin. So if I add address manually, tibia.xc plus my corrected address minus the C0, change it to text, you can see that this value that I've just added, which is the same as that, so that's correct, it just appeared in a strange place. This value is invalid, it's a closing bracket, it's not a character's name, that's not possible to be a character's name. So I know that Quentin is in fact the first entry in the battle list, so this is my BL start if you like. So the next step is to work out what's around him. Now to work out what's around him is quite easy. What's around his name in the memory is what I mean by that. So if I have a look at an existing address list, you can see the battle list addresses here, and you can see that the name is at 4 offset from the start of the creature. So if I want to find the creature's type, I can subtract 4, because that's at offset 0. So if I subtract 4 from my address, I'll get the offset of the ID. So if I modify this one and there we go, subtract 4 and change it to 4 bytes, there's a creature ID of Quentin. So if I want to double check that, I can take Ilax, copy the address, add address manually, change that to 0, and what have I done wrong? I didn't delete it. So that is the creature ID of my character that's logged in. In fact, these two need to go right up to the top. This is the actual order of the battle list as it appears in memory. Now, this address is the one that I added that I knew was wrong, and I don't know why it's still there, because I meant to keep the one that is correct, that's another entry, so I'm going to delete that one. To work out the next address though, I can do add address manually, make it a string, and there you go. If I add C0 to that, F4 plus 1B4, so increment that by 1, B4, that should give me the, it's not a pointer. As you can see, it's not got any entries in it, but if I log into a character that's in a more populated area, there we go. Valontos is the 3rd entry in my battle list, Seric Zest is an entry, and Democratian Total? That's a weird name. Anyway, I'm not here to judge people's names. But there you go, you have his, you have the 3rd offset. If I change that to 0, there's his creature ID. So there you go, you've got the names and this is Zest. And the reason that this is truncated again is because my string length is set to 8. Change that one as well. So that's how you read addresses, or you find addresses using Cheat Engine. Another useful tip to learn is that you can read the hotkeys in such a way, so you can associate F1, F2, F3, F4 with a certain address in the memory. So if I do a new scan for a string and a search for my F1 hotkey, again we're only interested in the green ones, so there's my first one and my second one is this, the green one again. You can now see that however many times I relog or whatever, those will stay the same, and if I change the hotkey, it's only looking for an 11 character string, 32 character string, 32 character string. If I change these as much as I want, you can see that they update accordingly. So that's the offset, the addresses of the first 2 hotkeys. Now the hotkeys once again are stored in a similarly styled array, in that it's a fixed length and all that jazz. So if I take the second hotkey's address, subtract the first hotkey's address from it, the offset is 100. So if I add 100 to this one, remember we're using hexadecimal, so don't just add a 1. Oops. That's my new address. So if I add address manually, tibia.exe plus that. It's a string, and it's reading 0 grand because this is set to 10 characters again. And once again, add address manually. It's text. What have I done wrong? 3C5 C80. So I suspect that I've added that wrong somehow. Now there's good reason why this one's coming back blank, and I've just worked it out. It's because my F4 hotkey is an item. So once again, if I go through this and add D as text, you can see that my next hotkey is Exori-san. So you can see from that how you'd work out the offsets. Now there's an easy way to read these, which is to use a for loop. So there are 36 hotkeys, 12 times 3. My brain can't handle that at this time. 36 hotkeys in total, so you can do for int I is 0, I is less than 35, 36, and then just increment by 100, so multiply I by your offset, which is 100 in hexadecimal, which is a uint32, not an int32, and it will come back and it will read each value. There are arrays associated with these hotkeys for things like this, where the value is not relevant because it's an item that's being used. I don't quite know the offsets of those, but they can be worked out by changing the item that's being used and searching for the item's ID. And if you toggle the use on self, use on target, use with crosshairs buttons, you can then work out whether it's set to be used on target, crosshairs, or on self. So that's quite useful as well. So I hope this has helped a bit with people that are trying to read memory addresses. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments or in the page on the forum where I posted this video. Good luck. I shall do a tutorial for Ollie Debugger soon to find out the addresses of things that are XORed. A quick last bit of information. If you want to find values like your current experience, search for them as 4 bytes. There's the address of the current experience. And just so that people are aware, consider this may change at some point, but the sort of rough area of the values that your experience, your health, your mana, your XOR value, your level, your skills, all that jazz are stored at are 3BE, 3C, that sort of area. So the address, if it's correct, will begin with 3B. This address is included in the tibia.exe offset and the base address, so you can ignore that one until it's down here, and when you double click on it you get that address with the 3B or 3C at the start. So yeah, good luck, and once again, if you need any help, let me know. Just to confirm that's the wrong address. If I dump all of those, that one's way off. That didn't quite go to plan. Let's try to work out where my cap was stored, but it's probably XORed, which means Cheat Engine will make it very difficult to find it. Yeah, good luck, and I shall make another video soon. Thank you.